Welcome to a Friday edition of Fourth and Pain, the only football pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. With me, as always, is Redskins defensive end Adam Carriker.
Howdy.
And I am the weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll. Very excited. Our guest today, Adam, is a guy that has merged kind of my two passions, your two passions. He fits the bill perfectly with this being a football and pro wrestling show. And oh, by the way, he's got himself a hell of a comic, pro wrestling themed, called Headlocked. Mike Kingston, how are you, man?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, appreciate you taking the time to join us. And this comic, we're going to talk a lot about it in a minute. I understand that Jerry Lawler is also involved in this project. You've got a Kickstarter campaign that we're going to talk about. But we start at the top with, I understand that you are a fan of the Washington Redskins.
Yes, sir. My whole life, I played offensive line, for 13 years. And when you're a kid, then there was nobody for me to root for, but the Redskins had the Hogs, and I was probably the only kid in my school whose, favorite player was Joe Jacoby, but that's cool,
Wow.
And I've been a fan ever since.
All right, now you got to be objective with this next question. Best quarterback in the NFL: Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, RG3. Who's the best?
Objectively speaking, I mean, how do you not say RG3, right?
I agree with you.
Certainly the most fun to watch. There's no doubt about that. Speaking with Michael Kingston, the proprietor, the head honcho at Headlocked, the pro wrestling themed comic book, and the upcoming Redskins season, right on the cusp of it. Real quick before we talk about this comic, I need to ask you, what are you predicting? Are we talking about back-to-back division titles?
I mean, I don't see how we don't, I mean, we got line continuity, and, I think that's very strong. I mean, I think, it all depends on how the secondary holds up. I think that's our biggest area of concern. But I mean, with the line all coming back and Morris, RG3, I mean, how do we not? The rack pose back. I think it's going to be a strong season.
I like this guy. This guy is extremely intelligent.
Yeah, man, and you got to love the fact that the first thing he goes to, whether or not it's the defensive line, I mean, this is the offensive line. Just Adam, as a lineman, you got to love the fact that he's given some love for the guys in the trenches there.
That's where the game is won and lost, baby.
There you go. Speaking with Michael Kingston of Headlock Comic, and all right, here we go. Let's talk about this. Before we go any further, I understand that you have a Kickstarter campaign to help fund this thing, and most exciting to wrestling fans is the fact that you have Jerry Lawler as one of your artists, true?
Yeah, Jerry paints the covers to the books. He's painting the cover to this book, and then we also have Ken Anderson, Beth Phoenix, and Sinn Bodhi contributing art to the book. We have Rob Van Dam, Shane Helms, and Christopher Daniels contributing short stories as well.
Look at this guy. Name after name. It's literally a who's who of pro wrestlers there getting involved in this thing. And for those who aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about the premise of the comic.
The book is about a kid who's a theater major in college who falls in love with wrestling, and he quits school, and it's his journey through the wrestling business. And as he learns the wrestling business, you sort of learn it through his eyes. But because he's a theater major, we're sort of examining the craft of wrestling through the eyes of a performance artist. But at the same time, it's kind of cable drama style with the girl gets off the bus in Hollywood kind of a story.
There you go. Speaking with Michael Kingston here on Fourth and Pain. 5 good minutes on a Friday. And, talk to us a little bit about this Kickstarter campaign, how pro wrestling fans can get involved, and how you came up with the idea of trying to fund this comic with the Kickstarter.
The Kickstarter, everything that we were trying to fund is to fund the art costs and the printing and the shipping of the book. But, we're doing sort of a book that's off the beaten path. I mean, a lot of people, when they think of comic books, they think of superheroes. I mean, we're doing a cable drama style story about wrestling. And so we thought that this would be a good way to raise awareness. All the people that are associated with the book, all the wrestlers that are helping out, are passionate about wrestling and comics and art. Our interior artist is actually a wrestler from New Zealand. We're all trying to do something that's a little off the beaten path. And I think with Kickstarter, that sort of gives us a way to get our project out in front of people and let people know what we're trying to do. Because it's very hard to get, new ideas and things
Sure.
and off the ground these days in entertainment.
Sure. And, I wish that we had a ton more time, but I will say I've had the opportunity to look through this comic, and it hooked me from the word go with the football and the wrestling tie-in. And the way that you were able to intelligently weave in kind of the last of the territories and how things used to work in the wrestling business and how it kind of parodied Vince McMahon going in and buying up all of those territories and creating a massive wrestling conglomerate. This is really a unique story that I encourage any football and pro wrestling fan to go check out. So we're going to put a link up to your Kickstarter page on fourthandpain.com. I encourage everybody to go there. If you're a fan of pro wrestling and you love comic books, definitely contribute to this campaign. Michael Kingston, we greatly appreciate your time, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.